else's life and a great opportunity to hear what someone else has learned and experienced. Today is Jeff. You go by Jeff more than Jeffrey, right? Or that guy. So Jeff, I always ask a list of questions for those who are giving community moments. He is a financial advisor and says that's why his son name is Elijah. I needed a child who was a profit, not a loss. This is what's coming up. So, did you know he's a comedian on the side too, is what I'm assuming as well. I asked what his favorite restaurant is, and he said he loves his wife's food. Way to go. He also mentioned Garrazzo's, and the family spot is the Cactus Grill, and then Oklahoma Joe's. Favorite book is The Reason I Jump, because it gave him more insight into how his son's mind works. His hobbies, he says when he still has time, he'd love to be able to play golf, but otherwise he tries to just be the best dad he can for Elijah and the best husband for Sarah. Something a lot of people don't know about him is that he has been to 2 game shows, losing on Jeopardy and winning on Play the Percentages. I don't know if I've heard of that one. Maybe it's a generation thing.
That's an old one.
He wrote a script for Cheers that got him invited from the head writer to see the show being filmed. He said he would have preferred to them actually using the script and paying him for it. So let's give a really great warm welcome to Jeff Nessel. Do you want the stand? Or it's a little awkward.
Thanks, Helen. Thank you very much. First of all, I know our next speaker today is going to be pretty intense, so I'm going to try to be a little more humorous, perhaps, maybe. A little lighter subject here. Humor is important to me. It's important as being a Jew. Self-deprecating humor is very important to us. Anyone watch Seinfeld? See the show where the dentist converts to Judaism because he wants to do Jewish jokes? It's true. It's really accurate there. And for me, one of the funniest lines I still laugh about was on South Park years ago, where the mother of the only Jew, Kyle, she's upset because there's a nativity scene at the school. And she goes, "This is an affront to the Jewish community." And the teacher goes, "Hey lady, you are the Jewish community." So, I mean, that self-deprecating humor I think is very funny to me and important to me. Of course, if I could do those jokes, that's fine. If you're not Jewish and do those jokes, obviously you're anti-Semite. There's no two ways about it. As I tell my wife often, when she says, "If I said that, yeah, I know, if you said that, would be wrong." Okay, but I can do it. My journey, I grew up in a very non-religious household. I remember seeing pictures when I was growing up of a Christmas tree and sitting on Santa's lap. But we were members of a conservative temple. And that's sort of odd because conservative is a pretty intense form of Judaism. It's not as intense as the Orthodox. Those are the guys with the long black coats and the black hats and the call them pants, the sideburns. It's not that intense. Those people don't want women at this great grave site because they have evil spirits. There's a funeral. They separate them at women and men when they go to services. And also, whenever you go to, I see on Fox News, a rabbi, chances are he's probably going to be Orthodox because they're also very socially conservative as well, too. The other side of that is Reform Judaism, and that's why if I would be a member of the Reform. The Orthodox look at Reform Judaism as Baptist, basically. You're not really Jews, you're Baptists, for God's sakes, you know? They believe in mixed marriage, very liberal on all social issues. In fact, the rabbi in a temple that I used to go to performed a same-sex marriage and mentioned during the high holiday services and such, very proud of it. So, and I'll give you a story. Elijah, my son, is on the autism spectrum, and the Chabad house, which is Orthodox, was going to have a program set up called Circle of Friends, where they would just get together and take the kids out and just give them some sort of social skills. And I was really happy about this. This was a great idea for our son. And what happened was, the girl who ran it came over to our house, and she knocks on the door. I open the door, go, "Hi, how are you?" And she runs away from me. I'm thinking, when I have my hand, I didn't wash I think I'm okay. I'm like, why don't she shake my hand? And of course, because she couldn't shake a man's hand. And another part of this, this was a great program, I tried to get involved with other people, and I tried to get this other temple involved, and the rabbi there said they won't let me do it, because it was a she. It's a Reformed temple, and she was a female rabbi, and the Orthodox don't recognize female rabbis at all. So prejudice and bigotry inside the religion is very prevalent as well, too. As I said, I grew up in a conservative temple. My brother was bar mitzvah. Now, if you know what bar mitzvah means, when you turn 13, you become a man. Okay? Actually, what it means is you get money from relatives you never knew existed. Okay? Lots of it. And so I still continued my Sunday school studies, and then we moved, and my dad said to me, hey, do you want to continue studies? Do you want to keep going to school? Or do you want to go to Ram football games? Now, I'm a 10-year-old boy going to Sunday school or going to Ram football games. What do you think my decision was? Hey, Dad, we'll go to Ram football games instead. Thus ended my Jewish training at that point, okay? Stopped going to temple. And although we had a Jewish house, I say we had a Jewish house because every dinner table discussion was about death or disease. How you guys doing? Oh, did you hear about Murray? Murray's got cancer, it's horrible, Hey, I did really well on a test. I know you did well on a test, but Gertrude's sick too, and your uncle who died 3 years ago. That's really what the family discussion was about. Death and disease, that was the family discussion topic, that was it. Except for high holidays, and for high holidays, you know what high holidays are. High holidays are Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah. And Yom Kippur is our Day of Atonement. We get rid of all our sins in 2 hours. Boom, they're done. We go to the temple, all sins are done in 2 hours. And Rosh Hashanah is the New Year, Happy New Year. We cleanse ourselves. So, to go to the Yom Kippur services, it's funny because you're supposed to fast afterward. You atone for your sins and fast. And the discussion when you got out of temple, usually on Yom Kippur services, was, okay, where are we going for lunch? That was the discussion. So it really was not what you call the true Orthodox religion. Oops, open the cars. As I said before, grew up in a very sheltered area. Sorry about that. Grew up in a very sheltered area. I know a lot of people have talked to this before. I've heard some community moments about being sheltered areas. Mine was sheltered in a different way. I grew up, my high school graduating class was 2,100 people. Of that, probably 98% were Caucasian, and probably 90% were Jewish. So I was sheltered in my own little way. I was my own little bubble, basically. But it was interesting growing in that kind of situation because, does anyone know who Sandy Koufax is?
Yeah.
Yes. So if you don't know, Sandy Koufax was probably the greatest baseball pitcher of the 1960s, and was Jewish, and played for the Dodgers in Los Angeles, where I grew up. And there was this incredible sense of pride because Sandy Koufax would not pitch on Yom Kippur, which usually coincide with the World Series, which is the championship for pro baseball. So imagine growing up as a kid being Jewish. It was really a sense of pride. Wow, Sandy Koufax isn't going to pitch because he's Jewish, and so am I, And you felt really a sense of pride. It's odd, you felt a sense of pride about this. And it really meant a lot to me at that point. But then, of course, he retired in 1966, and I didn't care about being Jewish anymore at that point. There was Ken Holtzman still pitching, but God, he played for the Cubs. Who cared? But all that changed for me back in 1972 with the Munich Massacre. And if you don't know what the Munich Massacre was, it was when the Israeli athletes were killed during the Olympics. And it struck me really odd. Here I was not a religious person at all, but here Jews have been killed for being Jews. No other reason. And it was at an Olympics where it was a festival of life, everybody was happy, and it really affected me. It really meant a lot. Something touched inside of me. And it wasn't the faith of God or all that. It was the idea people were being killed for what they were. And I know obviously in society today that happens every day. Naivety, if you don't think that occurs right now, but it really meant a lot to me at that point. And I got more Jewish after in a way. And it seems really how do you coincide those two facts that here you become more religious because of a religious act people were killed. It doesn't make any sense. But something touched me deep inside. And at that point I needed to show my feelings of Judaism and my religion, not my faith in God, but my religion of who I was. So I started wearing a mezuzah. And a mezuzah, for those who don't know what that is a charm you wear around your neck. And it has a bit of the Torah in there and some terms of a religious artifact. Well, that lasted for a little while, and then I started wearing a high. I have show and tell here, by the way. This is a high. It looks like an N. And it's high means life. It's the Hebrew sign for life. And I used to wear it until the chain broke. I was too cheap to get it fixed. So another Jewish trait, right? I can say that. You can't say that. You can't say that. I can't. Anyway, so I used to wear this. And of course, these things don't make any sense to anybody because there was a baseball player named Dave Parker who was this about 6'10" black baseball player who wore a Star of David. And they said, "Are you Jewish?" He says, "No. I'm David and I'm a star." So that's why he wore it. So obviously, it didn't mean a lot to a lot of people at that point. So, I said, things changed for me in that regard. I felt more, I wanted to go to services and such. But what happened was, I was looking for something. Looking at my life. Trying to find something. I started going to Yom Kippur services and I had to get a ticket. That's another thing you guys probably don't understand. But to go to services in the Jewish faith, you need a ticket. The line of Kinky Freeman, you need your ticket and your tie to zip your prayers on through. They're so crowded. No one ever goes to the temple unless it's high holiday services. You know, you get your old bowling ball and not hit anybody during the week. But high holidays, lines are to get out the door. So you have to get a ticket. And in fact, Larry David did a thing on Curb Enthusiasm one time where he's trying to get to high holiday services. He's trying to buy tickets from a scalper on the street. You know? Yeah, $100, two on the aisle, two on the aisle. Who wants it? Two on the aisle. Here we go. So, anyway, I started going to these services, and it was read the prayer book, and you wanted to be a better person. I mean, and that's what the prayer book was. I mean, it wasn't as good as Bob Dylan, but it was good lines in there. There was some good stuff in the prayer book, okay? And it was trying to be a better person, and looking at yourself, and nothing wrong with that. You know, I didn't buy into the religion of the God and all that, the davening and the ark opens up and all that. That didn't really interest me at all. But the idea of reading the prayer book and reading these quotes of how you be a better person and be better to other people was really important to me. So I began to read these books. Also began to read books about the Holocaust. That was important to me too. And I read. If you want to spend one night and not go to sleep, read Night by Elie Wiesel. If you haven't read it already. It's just a story of this harrowing story being in the concentration camp. And when you read that and realize that my mother lost some relatives in the Holocaust, it's not for you. I mean, who saw Schindler's List? The Schindler's List at the very end, where they dropped the pebbles on the grave. The reason they're doing that was in honor of all those people who were relatives who would have been dead if Schindler had not saved them. I mean, it's a real powerful thing to realize about yourself, that in your faith, not in your faith, I don't want to use the word faith, in your religion, I don't want to use religion either, in your being, for want of a better word, use your being in that regard. I also saw movies, Shoah and Sorrow and Pity, which were movies about the Holocaust. So it became really important. So all of a sudden I started getting this feeling about Judaism again, and it was important to me. So of course, what I do, I married a Baptist Bible teacher. How did that happen, right? But the weird part was I wanted to be married in the Jewish ceremony. Not because of the God or all that, but I wanted to be under a huppah. And I know Cynthia's here. She had this beautiful flower altar. That's what a huppah is, a flower altar, basically.
Boy.
What?
Boy.
Oh, yeah, that's it. And so that's why I wanted to have that idea. I wanted to be wrapped in a towel, drink wine. I mean, you're nervous if you want to drink wine while you're up there, so I want to drink wine. And of course, the best thing about the end of the ceremony is, in a Jewish ceremony, you take a wine glass and you put it in a towel and you break it. And everybody else, mazel tov, which means good luck. Of course, my relatives who were from a small town out here yell, "All right, Jeffrey, do it again," you know? So you can hear that over the thing. But the idea that when you break that glasses is two wise old sayings. One is, it's the only thing that should be broken in your house. And two is, your marriage shall last how many years it breaks into pieces. Who knew it was 10 pieces when I broke it? I thought it'd be a lot longer than that, but it was only 10 pieces of glass when I broke into it. So, of course, after 10 years, I got divorced. And my ex-wife hated the song Sympathy for the Devil because she thought it was praising Satan. And she didn't say I couldn't play it in the house, but to make peace, I never did. Well, the day the divorce was finalized, I went home, put on Beggar's Banquet on the turntable, and blasted out sympathy. Who am I? Just my sucker. Just blaring it out of my stereo speaker and saying, that's to you. I'm going to play something for the devil as much as I want to. So anyway, I tried to meet people. I went to temple, started going to temple again, not to find God, but to find dates. I joined the Jewish Social Network, JSN, which was back in '93, so this was like early computer time. And I met this gal, and we were supposed to go to lunch. And I met her for lunch. She was an assistant DA here in Kansas City. And I tried to really press her. We went to Grand Street Cafe, and I said, let me order. And I ordered the appetizer of tuxedo shrimp, which is shellfish, a big no-no in the Jewish faith, wrapped in bacon, a bigger no-no in the Jewish faith, in a milk-based sauce, okay? And she looks at me and she goes, are you Jewish? I don't know if she wanted to drop my pants and shot. I don't know what but yeah, I was. So that was the trifecta of making a big mistake in terms of Jewish faith. But then later on, I met Sarah. So long ago it was AOL 1.0. That's how long we met. We've been together for 17 years. And when I first met Sarah, I went out to LA for my nephew's bar mitzvah. And my English cousin was out there. And I visited my English cousin a while back, when I was in college. And he was in the process of disowning his son. Because his son was getting married to a girl outside the Jewish faith. And I said, Monty, how can you, this is your son. And he's in love. No, you understand. They're not like us. I mean, and the bigotry and prejudice he had toward this girl just blew me away and here was someone, his son, and got rid of his son. Now, she was willing to convert, and she was converting to Judaism. So she was joining the tribe, honestly. Okay? She was joining the tribe at that point, but he didn't want nothing to do with her. Of course, he changed later on in that. But you can see his mindset. Well, I went and talked to him. I just got through my divorce. He said, oh, you'll find the right girl now. The other one was a good girl, but you'll find the Jewish girl now for you. Well, I sent him a picture of Sarah. Once I got back and Sarah met, and it was a damn good picture of Sarah. Long blonde hair, long legs. She had a big smile on her face, and she had birthday gifts she had in her hand. And it was really hot-looking babe. I'm not sure my cousin what I'm doing here. And he writes back the most angry, vicious note you ever read. I mean, you promised you were going to be dating a Jewish girl. How could you do this? And he was just furious and angry at me because I was in love with somebody. And so the idea of religion there being so important in life to really your love you have for someone just blew me away. And again, that's pushed me away again from Judaism in a lot of ways. Quick story too, that I work for a company as a financial advisor, as Helen said. And the guy I worked for, the manager of my office, was a good Christian. He had gone to Africa to work with children with AIDS. He was a great Christian. Truth is, he stabbed more people in the back than, the guy playing Brutus on Broadway and Julius Caesar, okay? This guy would stab people every chance he got. And the guy I actually worked for, my team leader, was a pastor. He was a pastor. And, he was the most charlatan you could ever see in your life. I mean, he would come in, and we have a big decision. I have to go home and pray on it. God will tell me what to do. God will give me the direction I need to know. That's what it is. God will help me. So, inevitably, around the 28th and 29th of the month, when we had to make money for commissions for the month, I guess God told us we had to change everybody's portfolio and buy lots more stocks and sell these so we could make our commissions that month. I guess God only spoke to him at the end of the month we needed money. And the hypocrisy of that just blew me away, because I worked with a guy in LA who at the end of the, he would come in and say, he was a big gambler, and if his team lost on Sunday, he'd come in on Monday and say, portfolio adjustment day, boys, we gotta make some money, we gotta pay the bookmaker on Friday. So, but he was honest. He was telling me, I gotta pay the bookmaker. This guy I worked for was just saying, God had told him to do this. No, God had told me he needed to make some money that month, and that's what it was. So, and by the way, when I left that company, the guy threw me under the bus like no tomorrow. So, I was a good Christian man, obviously. So where am I today? Today, I have a son who's autistic, is on the spectrum, whose literal, intangible are only things that can mean to him. So God to him is only something to be said for God damn it. That's the only time we use the word God in our house. can't deny what I am. Inside of me, I am not a strong believer in Judaism. Like the dogma has no interest in me whatsoever. But I do believe in the importance of what my heritage and faith are in terms of what it means to me, what it's made me become as an adult. Quick story, we had a neighbor, we had a garage sale, and she thought something would be complimentary. She goes, I'm going to Jew down the price. And she said it like 2 or 3 times. And another neighbor who was about as Jewish as I am, I said, hey, enough already. I don't want to hear it anymore. And it's tough because that's kind of talk. You hear those differences. And I know there are people who are gay, transgender, any other minorities. You know when you hear those comments and you hear certain things and how it affects you. But that's how those kind of comments affect me in that regard. Maybe a little quick finish up. We have a Christmas tree in our house every year. It brings a smile on my wife's face, my son's face. He lights the menorah every year, does the prayer with the candles, and he does it because he gets Hanukkah gelt. Hanukkah gelt is chocolate-covered coins. So he does have a God, it is chocolate. And indeed he prays to his Hershey. But right now, for me personally, finish up right now, if I'm on a coast, I'm eating shrimp. If it's Passover and I can't eat leavened bread, I'm still going to Planet Sub to get a sandwich. And if I have one last meal on this earth, it's going to be pork spare ribs, no Oklahoma Joe with a side of fries. And the only Judaism in our house, is Judge Judaism. And that's the only time we possibly hear, don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. Is not an answer. And that's the only Judaism we spoke in our house. So anyway, thank you very much. Okay.